have many roles at work, but one of my roles at work is to oversee our college internship program and work with our financial planning associates, which is the entry-level role on my team. So I spend a lot of time working and talking with juniors and seniors in college, which in and of itself is incredibly humbling because you'll never feel quite so old as you do talking to college students. But nonetheless, it reminds me of when I was a financial planning associate in my firm. And about 6 months on the job, my boss called me into his office to give me my annual review. It was review time. And I had really high marks on as it related to the technical part of my job. He said, you're going to be really great at financial planning. He said, the thing that you will struggle with, that you need to really focus on, is managing your relationships with others. And I kind of looked at him and I said, is that like a fancy business way of saying I'm not getting along well with people? And that's what it was. Now, fortunately, we happen to have an executive coach on staff, and she works with us individually and as a team to help us understand ourselves, our styles, our preferences as we work, as our personalities, and then understand the styles and preferences of those around us. I started working on my pathway in Toastmasters recently, and my pathway is motivating others. And this current project is communication styles. So it felt very familiar. I've done a lot of this work already. And I was excited to be able to come here and talk to you today about what my experience has been learning about my own communication style and the communication styles of others. So as I work through the project, it has you do an assessment, spits out a result for here's your communication style, and then here's the styles of others that you might be surrounded with, and then come and give a report out. So I thought, well, I would just read for you, first of all, what my assessment spit out. And there's no surprises here for me, and I think if you've known me for about 10 minutes, there's not going to be a lot of surprises for you either. I'm a direct communicator. This style is decisive, competitive, independent, and confident. Because the person with a direct communication style is focused, results-oriented, ambitious, goal-oriented, and driven, others may perceive her as strong-willed or demanding. She can be seen as impatient when bored. She likes to feel in control and may become frustrated if dependent on others. She measures progress by achievements and successes and is motivated by challenges. At work, she displays more concern for results than relationships and does not easily share feelings. Her pace is fast and decisive, and she likes a busy, efficient, structured, and formal environment. Well, I don't know who doesn't want to be friends with that girl. She sounds like a blast, right? Bring her to happy hour. She's going to get along great with everyone. As I worked with our executive coach, one of the things that we spend a lot of time on is the Myers-Briggs assessment. Myers-Briggs works with personality traits and preferences. And so it gives you kind of 4 preferences around personality, and then on a scale of 0 to 30, with 30 being the strongest, how strong you are in each of those preferences. And my coach sat me down, and before she gave me my results, she said, I want you to know I've done this for a really long time, and I've never had anybody get a 30. And you have 2. What we learned very quickly about me is I'm very strong in my personality, my styles, how I handle stress. I don't easily flex off of those strengths either. I'm very set in my ways. And that's all well and good when you're a financial planning associate. But as I've moved into more of a leadership role at work, it becomes less and less about my styles and my preferences, and more about the styles and preferences of those that I'm around. Those early on frenemies that I made so easily. I'll read for you the communication style of most of the people I work with. Initiating communicators. Initiating communicators value interacting with others and sharing stories. Allow time for socialization at the beginning of meetings and create a friendly, non-threatening environment. Provide time for them to express their feelings and opinions. They talk a lot. They talk a lot, and they don't talk about anything. So feelings, and what they did over the weekend, and we'll be in a meeting, and we're like 10 minutes in, and we haven't even hit any of the agenda points, and they're just going on and on. It's no surprise that we didn't get along very well at the start of this. This all really came together for me when my sister started working for us in the financial planning associate role. So I was her manager, and she has a communication style that is, she has to say all of her thoughts out loud. Every single one of them. So she would come in my office and she'd have a problem and she'd want to talk through it. So if I'm showing up to that interaction in my style, and she's saying all these thoughts, well, I'm immediately organizing all of them. There's a system, there's a process. Here's your 3 bullet points, here's your solution. It's going to take us about 5 minutes to have this interaction. And that's not what she needed. She needed about 17 minutes of my time to be able to come in. And all Jen really needs is a warm body in front of her so that she doesn't look crazy as she talks all of her thoughts out. She needs to say all of her thoughts. She needs me to listen. She needs me to say those thoughts back to her. And then she'll disagree with all of them, even though they're her own thoughts. And then she will come to her conclusion. And Jen would tell you that I'm a great communicator, that our communication is really effective for her. And she'd always told me, you're such a good listener. I love coming and talking to you. And I'm sitting there thinking, I didn't do anything. Nothing about this was comfortable for me. Nothing about this was my style. That doesn't matter, right? If you're in a leadership role or you're just trying to effectively communicate with somebody else, it's always so much more about their style and you flexing to their style. I don't mean to say that our own styles are not important, and I don't mean to discount that. Robots have feelings too, guys. But I want you to think about your own style of communication. You don't actually need an assessment to figure that out. It's pretty simple for you to reflect and say, this is how I like to be communicated with. It may not be easy to explain it, but it's probably simple to come up with it. And then think about if there's a relationship in your life where the communication feels a little off. So maybe it's at work, like mine was. Maybe it's in your personal life, in your family, and you think, we're just not communicating well. And I want you to think about not just your own style of communication, but what's that person's style of communication. And are you showing up in those interactions flexing to their style enough, or are you just showing up rooted in your own style? Listen, if 22-year-old Jess can become self-aware and learn to flex communication styles, there's hope for all of us. Thank you.